Hello and welcome. For this episode, I'm going to go ahead and issue a content warning. We're going to be discussing eating disorders, food intake, matters that deal with weight loss, relationships with food, relationships with parents. Because in this episode, we are going to be discussing being the fat family member, highlighting on being a fat-bodied person during the holidays and being surrounded by thin-bodied, standard body, and mid-sized body members of the family. So if this type of content is going to trigger you, please go in softly with yourself and maybe don't even listen at all. But let's get started. We're going in softly this episode, aren't we, Hayley?
Hell yeah, brothers.
Hell yeah, brother. Because this episode we're talking about being the fat family member.
Yep. The one with the juiciest ass.
Yeah. The biggest boobies at the table can be a burden. Can be a burden.
Literally and figuratively.
Literally and figuratively. Oh, because the holidays are coming up. And Hayley, actually, you were the one that suggested this episode.
Actually, our dear friend, the self-care witch, suggested this episode many moons ago, and I happen to remember it. So shout out to her for the alley-oop. Because I think it's a great idea.
Love this idea. I think this episode's so needed. I think that this is a stressful time that we're starting to move into with everybody. And I think it can be added stress when you are the bigger person at the table and you know that you're going to be. So we have experience in this situation. We have some statistics to share with everybody and some stories from our listeners.
Shout out to y'all for responding in like under an hour. Who is this?
Who is this? Who are we? Who are they? I love it. And then we're going to get into how to handle the situation when you're going into it, how to handle being at that table. And then if we have time, talking about our experiences, right? Okay.
So, fellers, according to the American Psychological Association, 38% of people surveyed said their stress increased during the holiday season, which can lead to physical illness, depression, anxiety, and substance misuse.
No.
The reasons given include lack of time, financial pressure, gift giving, and family gatherings. Kind of sucks, TBH. The National Alliance on Mental Illness, otherwise known as NAMI?
NAMI.
Mommy? Notes that 64% of people with a mental illness say that the holidays can actually exacerbate their conditions, a phenomenon known as the holiday blues. The pressure of putting on a happy face is a big part of the reason. I can attest that is true.
Yeah.
I am sorry for making light of some of those statistics. They are not a joke, but that is how I cope with things, by humor.
Yes, we're humor coping babies. I know that suicide rates go up this time of year.
Oh my, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, they increase exponentially during the holidays. The most wonderful time of year. You know, they market it, but it's a stressful time of year. And it's just, I feel like health declines during the holidays because of all the pressure, you know, to be the perfect whatever role you have to be the perfect parent, to be the perfect daughter, to be the perfect son, to be the perfect child, you know, the perfect partner, stuff like that. Like this.
To get the perfect gift.
Yeah, to get the perfect gift. Yeah, so no, I like how the shop does it. We pull names out of a hat and it's $20 at a thrift store.
Oh, that's cool.
So we're not buying anything new. You know, it's something that's, you know, we're not diving too hard into capitalism with it, which I like. This year, the presents are not as crazy because my mom used to go hard during the holidays. Like back
Mm-hmm.
in the day, credit card bill was high. Because she went hard, and my grandma would go hard for the holidays. My
Oh
grandma
man.
Shirley, they would go hard during the
Mm-hmm.
holidays. Where I think people are happier when they don't go as hard, when the kids don't get as many gifts, and you don't have this like insane pressure to do that.
Right. I think that, yeah, I would agree with that. My mom still goes kind of hard in the form of cash though. Like she is very gracious and gives me and my brother, a nice lump sum of cash, and it's always well appreciated because I feel like a lot of people will relate to this. Like right at Christmas Day, broke as hell,
Yeah.
and getting that cash was like, oh, thank God.
Right.
But
Yeah.
it's still like she'll get us like a few small gifts otherwise because she's older, so it's like she has a hard time just giving cash. She likes to give a
Mhm.
gift too, but it is tough. And like I can remember my childhood. Like I don't. She's always, bless her little heart, she's always been so fiscally responsible, but she definitely went hard. Like I had a Barbie dream house.
Yeah.
She
Same.
There was a pile of presents under the tree for me and my brother.
Yeah.
But things were also so much cheaper then too.
Right. But I feel like we live like we feel like we have to give that to our kids, and it's
Mhm.
like the world is not the same, honey. Like it is not the
Yeah.
same as how it was. Like
No.
that's not as feasible.
Yeah.
And then you have this guilt and the shame and the anxiety and boom. The
Yeah. And then
through
limited space on
38%.
top of that.
Yeah.
Like, you
Yeah.
take your kid to grandma's and they get 800 presents, you're like, "Where the hell am I gonna put all this shit?"
Right, 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 right.
Yeah.
So we do have some, because this episode we're going to focus on Thanksgiving. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. We not the biggest fan of Thanksgiving here on this podcast. We love the food. We like
Mhm.
spending time with people we love and support us and love us. Like Haley said, what was it?
I don't remember. Great food, concept is trash, and we don't support genocide on this podcast, whether in
Boom.
past, present, or future. Looking at you, Joe Biden.
We're looking
Anyway.
at a lot of people, and that's the stance,
Mhm.
guys. Just
Yep.
you can go ahead and leave the unfollowing comments. We don't give a shit.
No, we don't.
Neutrality is not an option during genocide. So
Hell yeah. That's the fire sign energy I was wanting. I was waiting for you to be like, no, let's cut it. But no, fuck them.
no, fuck them. No. Sorry, but no.
We're not
I
sorry.
think we're not sorry, but yeah, we don't support it on this podcast, past,
Mm-mm.
present, or future. So it is what
Anyway.
it is. But we're going to share some stories of how our listeners have felt during Thanksgiving and or the holidays. Do you want to share one and I'll share one?
Yes.
Okay.
Let me unlock my phone.
Okay. Thank you guys again for responding to our polls and our little questionnaires. It really makes a huge difference. It makes the podcast more fun. It makes it fun to do. We love the engagement. Like just because not because it's not like we love it like because it's like we need it. It's more like we love it when you engage because it makes us happy that someone on the other side of the phone is communicating with us and our podcast.
Yes. Yes. And
That's
when
why
we
we
ask a
like
question and we get an answer, it's like, yes.
it. Yes. Okay.
Even
So do
though
you
I
want to read
posted
yours?
at like 4:30. It's fine.
They crushed it. They crushed it.
They did. Yes. Let me see. Okay. Okay, so this is in like two separate parts. I'm trying to figure out which one goes first.
Yeah, they both are.
But all right, so this says absolutely my mom telling me how fattening the food I have is. And the first time my mom ever told me how she was proud was when I joined a gym at 19. I was a size 9.
Oh.
9. That's so small.
Oh my god.
Isn't that awful? Just like
It's toxic.
I glossed over the fact that that was the first time she was told that she was, you know, that her mom was proud of her. That was really disappointing.
So
Do better,
gross.
parents. It is.
Yeah. Oh,
There's so much else to be proud of your kid for other than looks. And I feel
right.
like as like women and femmes, like that is so often glossed over. Like in
Mm-hmm.
the fat and femininity episode, a lot of what was talked about was like, oh, you have to put makeup on to catch a man and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. And it's like, we are more than just pretty things.
I think that it's difficult to navigate your self-image after those events.
Mm-hmm.
Like because they're getting validation of like, oh, I'm proud of you. And you always want to hear that from your parent. But it's
Oh
like, I'm
yeah.
proud of you for going to the gym because like obviously like you're a fatty. So I'm proud of
Yeah.
you for like making this decision when like you're a size 9.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very healthy size. That's a very healthy weight.
Mm-hmm.
The toxicity.
Even if they somehow didn't mean it in a toxic way, like at 19, you're going to take it that way. It's going like
Yeah.
the context is there because we're made so aware of our bodies.
Right. And that was what was talked about in that is one of the things that I want to talk about during this episode is how hyper aware we become during the holidays of our bodies and how our bodies become a subject of a topic to speak about during the holidays,
Mm-hmm.
which like we're going to give you guys ways to like shut that shit down, but it's so unhealthy. It attributes to eating disorders, it attributes to depression, anxiety, and mental health issues when you allow the subject of your body to be a discussion.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's so common within circles of hetero women talking about your
Yes.
body and them talking about their body. Like we've seen
Yeah.
it portrayed in media, we know it with our closest friends and our families. Like it's just normal to tear your body down in front of other
Yeah.
women. And this is not healthy for anybody, everybody. We need to stop.
Yeah.
Stop it.
It's not a bonding technique.
It's not. It's not. It's not. I mean, it's a trauma bonding technique, but it's disgusting and trauma
Yeah.
bonding's not healthy. So
No. Hold on,
we do
cut.
have
Can
a
you hear Milo chewing in the background?
no.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. So we have another write-in that says, I have 2 brothers. Every barbecue, they got beef burgers. I got chicken breast.
Straight to jail.
Straight to jail.
Okay.
I cannot. Eating out, I had to get a side salad. Everyone else got fries.
Relatable.
Relatable.
Mm-hmm. That's fucking.
Relatable.
That's an oof right to the heart because I definitely had that same experience as a kid.
Punch in the face.
Mm-hmm.
Punch in the face.
Yeah.
Like,
It's one
oh,
meal.
one meal. Fries and potatoes. Like, wasn't there this whole thing about like potatoes are so good for you? Like,
Yeah, they actually are.
they're
If
nutritious.
it.
Like, there's nutrition behind that.
Mm-hmm. There's fiber, protein, a little protein in potatoes, which shocked me.
Yeah.
But fiber is so important. And like, yeah, maybe you shouldn't eat only French fries all day long. Maybe that's not the best for your body. But like, that's just from a like you need to eat multiple types of food perspective, not like a French fries are evil perspective.
Right. And I feel like the standard here is very much like the brothers can eat what they want,
Mm-hmm.
the sister can't.
Yeah.
Again, that double standard. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
So focused on the appearance of women. Yeah.
Right.
It's
Right.
really it really just like it gets my gizzard big time. Because like it does.
I
It
love you
chaps
so much. Haley,
it
I
chaps
love
my
you.
ass.
I
It
love you
burns my
so much.
biscuits.
I love you. When we do start doing merch, I swear to God, we're gonna make something with your freaking West Virginia sayings, like affirmations from Haley's mouth. Like that gets my gizzard. Like I'm
Oh my
sorry,
god.
it's the best. That butters my biscuit. It's the best damn thing when you speak. Like I just, it
Thank you.
elevates me. I love it. I love it so much. I love it. I did want to say to both of the people that wrote in, thank you for writing in, and neither of you deserve that treatment. And I'm sorry that that happened to you. And thank you for being brave enough to share it with us so we can talk about it because I know that's hard for a lot of people. So
Yeah.
Proud of you both. Thank you. Proud of you.
Love you
Love you.
both.
Love you. Okay. So let's talk about how to handle situations like this. So, because we're going to talk about how to handle it, and then I think we should share our experiences. How do you feel about that?
I'm fine with that.
All right, cool.
You know, I'm way too open about my trauma. Let's get this shit.
Let's get it. As we talk about trauma bonding, ready, everyone? Let's get on board.
Yeah.
All right. So, Thanksgiving Day is coming up. Christmas is coming up. You get invited to the family member's house. They can be in laws, they can be bio. And you are stressed out and you're dreading it because you've gained weight, you've lost weight, you don't like your body, you're having a hard time mental health wise, and you're like stressing out about being even with these people. Two
Mm-hmm.
things I'd recommend. One, don't force yourself to go. Sorry. I know it can be very difficult for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to attend these events.
Yeah.
You always have a choice. Right?
That's true. Yeah.
It
I think in that situation, like weigh the pros and cons of going versus not going. Like, will you be more sad at home by yourself? Because I think, you shouldn't choose that if that would devastate you.
right.
But at the same time, like if you there's no part of you that wants to go at all, don't go.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Don't go.
somehow, like ask a friend like, "Hey, what time's Thanksgiving dinner?"
Yeah.
That kind of
Friendsgiving,
thing.
baby.
Yeah.
Friendsgiving. Yeah. Because I think that there's like, we learned from a somatic therapist in the program that I'm in that your nervous system actually feels safe when you give it choices.
Mhm.
So if you feel like you have to go into a toxic environment, you're immediately in fight or flight. Like your body is going to do what it does to make itself feel safe. So you're already elevating your stress levels. So if you give yourself a choice, even if you don't choose the stay home,
Mhm.
giving yourself that option of I can go and be miserable and have people that I don't like and don't treat me well, or I can go with friends or stay home. Like,
Yeah.
even saying that can reduce the stress level, right?
Yeah. That's so true.
Um, right?
Or even
Option
giving
number,
yourself permission to leave if shit goes left.
oh my gosh, absolutely. Get out of there. Use that body autonomy and get the fuck out of there.
Yeah. That took way too long for me to like realize that I was just allowed to leave as an
Oh my
adult.
God. This is one of
Took
my
way
favorite
too long to
things.
figure that out.
One of my favorite options. I'm a get out girly. Like, and I'll share this when we share our stories, but I have a situation where I left and it caused like a situation, basically. I was like, deuce, bruh. Yeah. I don't give a fuck. When it comes to
Love
that.
that.
When it comes to that, like if I don't handle being treated badly, like I will leave, you know. And then the second option is you can set boundaries with them before you even get there. So we're going to talk about setting boundaries in the moment, but if you're already feeling anxious, get that anxiety out of your body and send a text message or have a conversation and say, hey, because of past situations, it's making me anxious and not wanting you to come to Thanksgiving, but I love you. So, in order for us to have a good time and a good family gathering, I just want to go ahead and say these are no go topics for me. My body is a no go topic. What I put on my plate's a no go topic. Yeah. I mean,
Anything.
right? Anything.
Politics,
Politics, no go topic.
whatever. Yeah.
Whatever. Like, I have a big thing with in my family. Like, I don't talk about politics. I don't talk about my body. Don't talk about what's on my plate. And I don't talk politics with you. Period.
Mhm.
I don't. We're just gonna fight. We're not gonna have a good time.
Right.
Right. And
And
if
that's even in a pretty like it's not like your family's super super conservative either.
no,
Like it's
no.
just it is such a hot button issue. Period.
Yeah. I am finding them getting more conservative as they get older, which is weird vibes, but I'm seeing it
I mean, mine
some
are too, but they were already there, so it's just
yeah.
like the disappointment. But anyway,
The utter disappointment, the letdown. But yeah, you can always set those
yeah.
boundaries before you go.
Hmm.
I think a lot of people kind of confuse a boundary of you can't, like telling the person you can't do something. Like
Yeah.
about like me telling you like, Haley, you cannot speak to me that way. That's not necessarily the type of boundary we're talking about. It
Hmm.
is if you speak to me this way, I am going to leave.
Yeah.
That's a boundary,
Right.
right? If you bring up this, if you choose to talk about my body at this dinner, I am going to leave,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah. That could be leave the
There's,
table, leave the house,
right.
leave the country, whatever it is.
Whatever you need to do, whatever you need
Yeah.
to do. You know what I mean? But you can set that before you even go and let them know your no-go topics to talk about
Hmm.
before you even arrive, which is completely fine. You're allowed to do that. And if that causes an argument, then you were already going to argue when you got there. So
Yeah.
set your boundaries before you go. Okay, so Haley, do you want to talk about what they can do when they're there?
Is that the second bullet point? That
It's kind of the first one and the second one. And like, yeah, like it's kind of
it's actually all
all
of them.
it's all of them. You don't have we can like do backseat forward seats. It's kind of all of them though.
Okay. So when you're there, I think it's important to like surround yourself with supportive people, but you also need to check in with yourself and trying to think of everything. Like just stay in your body, you know,
Yes.
check in with yourself throughout the day because in situations like that, like where you might be in fight or flight, those signs that are like, hey, like we're not having a good time. We want to actually leave and we're picking up on some microaggressions. Like if you're dissociated, you aren't cognizant of those things, but your body still is.
Hmm.
And you will have to deal with those things later
Right.
anyway, even if you're not actually hearing them, you know?
Right. Absolutely. And I think being in your body, focusing on intuitive eating while you're there, if you are hungry, eat food. Don't
Hmm.
restrict yourself because you're the biggest person in the room. I think that's a
Yes.
big thing that a lot of us face is when you are the bigger bodied person at the table, you have the smallest plate.
Yep. Yep.
And
Yep. Yep.
you're punishing your body. You're punishing your
Hmm.
body, and at the end of the day, if they care, fuck them. Like
Yeah.
literally fuck them. If you the whole freaking holiday is around eating and
Hmm.
everybody else is eating the amount that their body wants because they're listening to their body and they're like, "Hey, I'm full, so I'm going to stop eating," or "No, I'm actually hungry. I'm going to get a second plate." You're allowed to do that even though you have the biggest body in the room.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And if they want to say something to you, go
Yeah.
set that boundary.
Just
Tell them go.
fight them.
Fucking
That's what I mean. It's Thanksgiving. There's football on TV. We can go out in the front yard and throw down if Aunt Kathy really wants to.
it's so funny.
Fuck it.
Yeah. We're not actually saying fight your relatives, okay? We're not actually condoning violence, but we are condoning is setting boundaries, letting them know in the moment, hey, I'm not comfortable with you talking about that my food is fattening on my plate. I'm not comfortable with you talking about how much food I have on my plate, how little food I have on my plate, how I've gained weight, how I've lost weight. I'm not comfortable discussing my body with you.
Hmm.
Let's talk about something else. There are so many
Yeah.
things that you can talk about on Thanksgiving other than food and your body.
Yeah. And like those little comments that I feel like it's really common with like middle-aged women, especially like, oh, I'm so bad for having this like second little morsel of pumpkin pie, or wow, these mashed potatoes are so good. Like just constantly talking about how guilty the food they eat makes them feel. You
Mhm.
don't have to engage with that.
No.
You can actively ignore it, even if they're only talking to you. You can just look at them and then be like, so how about the weather? Or like whatever, you know?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Or what are y'all's Christmas plans? How's work going? Like there are
Hmm.
other things to talk about. I know personally that I have someone in my life that is on a weight loss medication and they constantly bring up like, "Oh, this is so much food. I'm so full." And like I'm to the point now like I gave them a oneer. They got a oneer. I
Hmm.
let them do it once.
Everybody gets one.
Everybody gets one. If they continue to do that, especially because we will be spending Thanksgiving together, if they continue to be like, wow, this is so much food. I'm sorry, guys. I'm literally gonna be like, don't get so much. If you're full, stop
Yeah.
eating. Like, It's to the point now where it's like, you are doing this person is doing this maliciously, by the way. They're not doing it just because like they're intuitively eating and they're in tune with their body. They are doing this because they are surrounded by bigger bodied people that they feel should not be bigger bodied. They want them to lose weight, and they have made comments about these people's weight. They are doing this to be malicious.
That's so mean.
And I love
That's
these
horrible.
people that they're being malicious too. So like,
Mhm.
let's roll up, buddy, because I've been big my whole life. Not everybody in this room has been big their whole life. I got tougher skin than you, my guy. Let's go.
Yeah.
So, that being said, don't be toxic like me. But you're allowed to set boundaries and say, "Hey, this is making me uncomfortable.
Mhm.
Let's change the subject."
You could also throw in a "why don't you shut the fuck up" if you just can't. Because yes, we are proponents of not fighting people and practicing good communication. But sometimes, like, people, you can just tell they haven't been told to shut the fuck up, or they haven't gotten their ass beat in a long time. And it shows. So maybe don't go to jail, but like, you don't have to approach this perfectly, is what I'm trying to say.
No, just
Even if
because you're right. I mean,
even if you're toxic, get your point across. It's fine.
I like how we were being so healthy in the beginning, and now we're like, be fucking toxic, ruin the whole flip the goddamn table. Like, if you can't fucking eat, nobody can. Like, no, we're not saying that.
Don't destroy the food.
We're not. What we are saying is, as two people that have been the biggest people in the room at Thanksgiving, you do not have to be a doormat because you are the fat person in the room.
Yes. And even, you know, it's not good to be toxic. But if you don't have a lot of practice setting a boundary, your first one might sound like that. And
Yeah.
that's okay. I feel
Yeah.
like it's better to stand up for yourself imperfectly than to just continue to be a doormat and
Right.
make yourself feel bad, because it only hurts you.
Right. Stand up for yourself in the way that you feel as you can. Like, take that
Mhm.
step, be scared saying it, but the only thing that they can do if you say, "Hey, I'm uncomfortable talking about this," is continue to talk about it, and then you can leave.
Yeah.
You can stand up and you can leave. As someone, when we're about to get into our personal experiences, your girl, I literally canceled Thanksgiving. Whole
The
ass.
power.
Didn't even fucking canceled it. Sorry.
That's
Boundaries be boundaries, bro. I'm not gonna fucking take
yeah.
that shit. So stand up for
Yeah.
yourself. It's one fucking day surrounded
See?
by food. You don't have to
Even
take
if you
that shit.
cancel Thanksgiving, you don't have to take it.
You don't have to take it. So, that being said,
I want to hear this
Hayley,
story.
do you want to get into our experiences?
Yeah. You kicked it off. Let's hear it.
All right. So, one year, as you guys know, I have a complicated relationship with my mother. We love her, but we're all healing. And because of that, one year, her and I were just not able to communicate properly. And I had set a boundary that was crossed. Normally, we have Thanksgiving at my house because at the time, my house was kind of the only place to really go.
Yeah.
So Brian and I normally do what hosts do. We spend a lot of fucking money on food. We spend a lot of fucking money on decorations, spend a lot of time cleaning and prepping. And because the boundary was crossed, I sent a text message and was like, "Hey, I'm going no contact and we're not having Thanksgiving at my house. You guys are welcome to still eat and have fun. I will not be there."
Hell yeah.
And nothing bad happened, everybody. Nothing bad happened. They ended up like having, I think my sister went to her partner's like dad's house that year and they brought my mom some leftovers, or they might have had like a little small one at my mom's house. Like, I honestly can't remember, but that was it. Brian and I had an amazing, like, me and him Thanksgiving. We got some Cracker Barrel the day before. We heated it up on Thanksgiving Day, and we were like, pop off, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and it was because like for me, it's been always been very difficult to stand up to
Mhm.
speak how I feel, to set a boundary in a way of being like, you can choose to do this. I will not be there because I can't
Yeah.
control you. I can only control what I do. And when that boundary was crossed, it was the last straw for me in that moment. And sometimes I have to go limited contact for my mental health
Mhm.
because my mom and I are we're both two traumatized people that are trying to heal our trauma, and we can trigger each other during that process. And
Yeah.
sometimes the healthiest thing we can do is just go no contact for a little while until we're both in a better place. And so that's what happened. We had to go no contact for a little while until I was in a better place to speak to her and she was in a
Yeah.
more receptive place, and we moved on, you know?
That's
So
how long ago was this?
this was, I want to say 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's canceling Thanksgiving. I'm sure that wasn't even easy to send that text,
It
especially 2 years
wasn't.
ago. But it's
Yeah.
like you said, canceling Thanksgiving and you guys moved on from it. You still have a
Absolutely.
relationship now.
Absolutely. Because I think like a big thing that people, when it comes to family, one of my like favorite sayings is like, yo, my love unconditional. I love you
Mhm.
unconditionally. You are my mother, my sister, my cousin, my friend, whatever. If I love you, that love is unconditional. My
Mhm.
presence in your life absolutely has conditions.
Yeah.
1000%. Like, then that's just the way I live my life. Like, if you want to treat me respectfully and want to be a positive, supportive person in my life, and I'm going to be the same to you, we're going to flourish. It's going to be amazing. If you want to be toxic, love you, love you from afar, though. I'm not going to be
Yeah.
present in your life. I'm not going to share my energy with you. And
Right.
I think that that's the best thing that I've done for my mental health personally when it comes to
Mhm.
healing. Yeah.
I love that. That is I especially love that face you just made. But
I was adjusting my back, starting to hurt. So I was like, "Ugh." Yeah.
I feel that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Me and my herniated disc over here. It's funny. Oh man. I've never canceled Thanksgiving. It's honestly I feel like most of the things that have been said to me have been outside of holiday time, thankfully. But
Oh,
it's still
okay.
it's like I go in for prepared for that and it doesn't happen. So when it does, it catches me completely off guard and I'm just like mind goes blank because it's always, you know, it's always my mother. I love her, but she is also a Libra and she has always had very exacting standards for how she believes I should behave and look and dress and blah 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 blah, all that. But it's also she is not happy with herself. She's not happy with
Mm.
her appearance or her weight. And I know that she cares about me, but sometimes she can make comments that are over the line. Like the last one that comes to mind really honestly was not even that bad, but it still bothered me because she said something. I think this was it was Labor Day that she said this, and it was like that I look small in my pictures, but when she saw me in person, she was like, "Oh my god, like you look so much smaller than the pictures." And I was like I feel like she meant it well, but it was still like, "Damn, bro, like why'd you have to come for me like that? Why'd you have
Yeah.
to say that?"
Oh. Oh.
Mhm. And
Mm.
there was a time whenever I had had weight loss surgery and my weight loss really started to pick up. Like it was around the 3 to 6 month post-op mark and I was starting to get loose skin. And I was just goofing around. Like I was making my loose arm skin slap my loose side skin and it was making like a fart noise. Like I was just having a ball,
Yeah.
you know, like you
Pop
do.
off. Like you do.
But I made a comment about it afterwards and she was like, "Oh, well, maybe you can go to the gym and try and tighten that up." And I was like, "I didn't say I was bothered by it.
Right.
Like, I'm going to have loose skin. I'm going to lose a lot of weight. Like, it's inevitable." And I made peace with it.
Right.
But it's just stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just little. little comments that it's like if she had loose skin, she would tear herself apart over it mentally. So it's like
Absolutely.
it must bother me too.
Right. Right. I think that's a lot. Little comments like that are what can really trigger people during the holidays. Like, oh, are
Mhm.
you really going to go get a second helping?
Mhm. Are you
Or
really gonna eat all that?
really going to eat all that? Or, wow, I can't see the plate underneath that food. You got a lot of food.
You must have been
Um,
hungry.
you must have been somebody's hungry. Like,
Mhm.
shut up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thankfully, sorry I said yeah like that. My dad doesn't really make comments like that towards me, thankfully. The most I'm trying to think of like past Thanksgivings. Like since I had I guess last Thanksgiving was the only one since I had weight loss surgery. Like he was asking like how much I could eat, just like as a hey, like what are your restrictions like now? Like, do
Right.
you live a
Yeah.
normal life type thing? And that stuff doesn't bother me. Like if people genuinely want to know stuff, like I'll tell them pretty much anything. But
Right.
it's like but if it's when it comes with judgment that it's like this fucking sucks. Like
Right.
that's not cool.
No. Yeah.
Like I grew up in a pretty much universally big family. Like my brother he's smaller, but he's like a healthy like a thick, you know.
Yeah.
He's never had like a weight problem or anything like that as my parents would say. But both my parents are big, but I would say the being around my in-laws, like I love my husband's family and I feel like I get along with them really well even though we're all flawed individuals, you know, shit happens. But I've always been very self-conscious about my the amount of food on my plate compared to
Mhm.
them because
Yeah.
I am a lot bigger than they are and they all eat like birds. I
Mhm.
love them, but they eat so little and they eat so slow
Yeah.
and it is just it's a lot. I absolutely when you said it's okay to get a second helping, it's like I've definitely restricted at their place before because I didn't want to feel judged.
Right. Yeah.
And that is not a good feeling because
It's
then you
not
leave
because
Thanksgiving and you're hungry as hell.
you're hungry as hell and nothing's open. Nothing is open on
Mhm.
Thanksgiving, so you're just out there, like, hungry and disappointed because you've activated your people pleasing and your fear of judgment,
Yeah.
over a moment that will be fleeting. Like,
Yeah.
so what if they did judge you? So what if that's not your business. Their opinions of you is not your business.
Yeah.
Period. Like, so when you go to these family events and you're like, man, like everyone's going to judge me or they're going to make comments like, when I'm not around, like, that's none of your concern, baby. You're there to eat that banging food. I got Tupperware in my trunk, honey bunny. I'm taking some of this food with me. Like, it
Yes.
is Thanksgiving. It's different. It's not like a Saturday where you guys order one pizza for six people to share. Like, yeah, like everybody grab one slice, bro. I better not see like three slices on your plate because that's
Yeah.
fucked up. But like,
Right.
this is a holiday event centered around food, centered around like gratitude and gathering with people you love and that are supposed to love you. So if
Yeah.
you're constantly stressing out about, how much food you can put on your plate or how little, and you leave the event hungry, like, you didn't stand up for yourself. You didn't stand
Right.
up for yourself then. You know what I mean? Like,
I sure didn't.
yeah,
You're absolutely right.
I have in the past, like my mom's partner's family, most of her family was very heavy. Like, I grew up, they were all very large, and I loved it, to be honest, because as the largest one in my family at the time, I
Mhm.
felt so comfortable there.
Yeah.
And then it became like a thing. So they all decided to lose weight and change their lifestyles. And some of them were able to maintain it, and some of them weren't. But the event that I had where my when I walked out caused a problem is it was the monarch's side. They were celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary.
Mm.
And I almost like want to write into Reddit about this. But so it was their 50th wedding anniversary. And my mom has been with my other mom, her partner, for over 30 years. I am 32.
Wow.
These people have been in my life since I was a child. Okay.
Mhm.
They've always made me feel like I was family. step family. There's always been a difference, but
Yeah.
family. And then at their 50th wedding anniversary on stage, as they're talking about their family, they said, "Our daughter and her friend's children." I have never felt so unlovable, and my heart broke in that
Yeah.
moment. So I waited until they finished talking. I
Yeah.
got up, didn't cause a scene or anything. I just got up. Other people were up. They were taking pictures with people. I got up and I fucking left, dude. I'm fucking
Yeah.
out of here, bro. Like,
I can
I've
Did your
opened
mom
Chris.
leave?
So my mom's partner did not leave and was upset that I left, but my mom never really like fucked with them because like they're
Mhm.
homophobic. So my mom, me, Brian, and my sister, we went to fucking IHOP and chowed down. We had a great time. We
Hell
had a
yeah.
great time. And
I'm
that
so
was
glad your mom left too.
she left too, man. That was one of the moments where I'm like the proudest of her because she
Mhm.
fucking stood up for me. Like she stood by my side. She was like, "Fuck these
Yeah.
people. Like fuck you guys. Like hell yeah, you're not going to make my daughter cry." Like a child that like was in like literally like I feel like, potty training at their house and shit, like had
Yeah.
toys at their house. Like these were my grandparents and I'm your daughter's friends' kids. Fuck
Yeah.
yourself. Like I'm out of here, bruh. Like
That's so cruel.
yeah, and those two, the mom and the dad, would always make comment about food because they were the
Mhm.
thin-bodied people, and so that's where it, like, kinda started, and my
Yeah.
mom would always talk about how much food Jerry's, like, sisters had on their plates, which caused a
Mhm.
complex for me.
Yeah.
So, like, I get it, but now it's just, like and that's where my rule like, the number 1 rule that I have for holidays is you don't talk about how my body looks, and you don't talk what's on my plate,
Yeah.
period. Like, that's it.
Very simple.
Very
You
simple.
think it would be easy to follow, but it is not for a lot of people.
It's not, and it's difficult to be around people that talk about other people's bodies. So if
Mhm.
you have that same experience that I had of like you're in the car on the way home and your family's like, "Wow, this person, they had like 3 helpings, like how gross." Or verbatim, I'm repeating something verbatim right now. "Wow, they were gorging themselves."
Wow.
Just because they were fat bodied. They were eating the literal same amount of food that everyone was eating.
Mhm.
But because they were fat bodied people and my mother was not at the time, she felt like she could make a comment about it. So I not only have that rule for myself, I have it for other people. Like I
Yeah.
am not the person to talk shit with if you
Right.
want to talk shit. Like, sorry, baby,
Yeah.
not
Like
me.
that is
I mean,
just like it's hard to hear those things like even if it's not directed at you. Like
yeah.
it's hard to hear that because like there have been times where it has been.
Yes.
And I know that there's a few people that I know personally like I know one of my friends listens to this and is a plus size section stan. Love you, Kirsty.
I love you,
Hope you love
Kirsty.
hearing this. But she is a very like naturally very very thin person. And she has gotten comments like in the other direction
Right.
about needing to eat more. And it's like, we can absolutely have the discussion about like how fat discrimination is systemic. That is absolutely true. But like, you don't know what someone is dealing with internally. Like, you don't know if they have body dysmorphia or eating, like disordered eating or anything. And saying that stuff to people is can be really triggering, period, regardless of how
Period.
big or small they are. Like, if they have an issue with food, like pointing out that you're clocking what they're eating,
Right.
devastating.
Devastating. Like, and it's none of your concern. Like,
Right.
it's none of your concern how much someone is or is not eating. It's none of your concern what someone's body looks like, if it's big, if it's thin, if it's,
Hmm.
average size, whatever. Like, that is not your place to make a comment on someone else's body.
Exactly.
Whether it's Thanksgiving, Christmas, Yule, Hanukkah, whatever, any holiday gathering, don't
Or random ass
comment.
Tuesday.
Random ass Tuesday, like don't comment on someone's body and what's on their plate.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
Yeah.
Period. Before we end it, because we're about to end it, I want to give you guys some real suggestions that you can say if someone brings up the topic of food and your body. If someone's like, hey, you're not eating enough food, don't you want more food? You can say, like thinking about your friend about like how, like, you know, if someone comments like, oh, you're so skinny, don't you want a piece
Yeah.
of pie? You can say, you know, thank you for offering. This looks great, but actually, I'm feeling satisfied already. Um, if someone talks about your body, talks about food around you, you can say, when you talk about my food and my body, it makes me feel uncomfortable. Do you mind if we
Mm-hmm.
change the subject? You can also say if someone is talking like about diet culture and just being super fat phobic, you can say, hey, I'm really trying to not talk about food or bodies in a negative way. You know, what is something that everyone is grateful for? So, kind of like shifting the conversation and the perspective of why you guys have gathered.
I love that one.
If someone's just being absolutely cruel, I feel like this one's, if they say like, I'm just worried about your weight or I just care about you, which we know people are going to hear this year, you can
Yes.
say, right? Like you can say, thank you for your concern, but this is for me and my doctor to discuss, and then shift into another conversation.
Those are all very nice ways to handle those.
Right. I think so. You know, if someone talks about health, like, oh, I'm just like, I'm so concerned about you, like, you just don't look very healthy. You can say, you know, healthy looks different for everyone. For me, health is actually about this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, health is such a complicated topic. So just kind of navigate that. And if someone says like that, well, like in my opinion, I'm just trying to talk about my opinion and how I am. And you can say like, hey, like that may work for you. It does not work for me, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
again, shift that conversation, that perspective. So yeah, I just wanted to give you guys some real tangible phrases that you can use during the dinner table this year if you're around
Yes.
people that aren't the best or supportive of you and your
Mm-hmm.
choices in your life.
Yeah. And I think that was a really great list of ways to handle that. I would add, like, if it's not serious discussion, like if it's about jokes, like fat jokes, racist jokes, anything, and they're like expecting you to laugh, something that I've seen repeated over and over is like to not laugh, obviously, but have them explain the joke. Turn it
Mm-hmm.
back on them and have them explain why it's funny.
Right.
And, it makes them uncomfortable,
Right.
but I think that's an excellent way to handle that type of thing rather than polite laughter or, just
I agree.
whatever.
I agree. I'm real big, like, we're going to close out, but when someone like thinks something's funny and I don't, I'm real big on being like, oh, was I supposed to laugh? And just the dead eye
Nice.
contact.
Yeah.
It makes them so uncomfortable. And they're like,
Yeah.
yeah, you were. Like, why?
Yeah. Why?
Why? What do you mean?
Why do you think that's funny?
What do you mean by that? You come up with that yourself? You're a stand-up comedian now? Sorry, now I'm getting toxic. All right, Hayley, we're ending it. I hope you guys got some tools for navigating this holiday season. Where can they find us?
I closed my outline again, but you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads at Plus Size Section, on TikTok at The Plus Size Section. If you want to send us some stories about how your Thanksgiving was or how you handled a family member, friend, whatever, that was just completely out of pocket, you can do that at the plus size section at gmail.com. And while you're at it, give us a 5-star review on whatever platform, app, whatever you listen to this podcast on, and leave us some comments because the haters are still
Yeah,
hating
they
and
are,
we
but
must
thank you.
crush them.
Let's crush them. Thank you for leaving. Thank you to everyone that has left reviews. We really appreciate you. It
Yes,
has made a difference. Thank you.
we love you guys for that.
We love you. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yay.
Yay. Genocide. Bye.
Bye.